Well, hello, hello. Let me get this up and running here. Change this background. Hey, everybody, we are live.
Yes, we here.
Hey, hey,
this,
hey.
this technology, let me tell y'all, I am so glad when I get back to Georgia and tell my brother, listen, here's all the passcodes, here's the all this equipment, and just put me in
Right.
front of the camera. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Juice Radio and Talk Show. I'm sorry that other intro didn't start, but the intro that you did hear was Tyrone's great music, his single that's out, Groove With Me. Y'all want to groove with Tyrone by listening to that. It's on Amazon Music, and it is amazing. It's not only for the grown folks, it's for those that want to hear some good music. Go ahead and download that information and that music from Amazon Music. We are live today talking about this great topic. I've got my team with me. We've got Jennifer and Tyrone are on their way. But while we wait on them, hey, Jonathan, how are you today?
I am great, and happy to be here and excited to get back to this topic that we started last week.
This is good. This is good. Avery, so good to see you in the flesh today,
I'm
not your emoji, but we're
yeah,
happy with
right.
you.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. I'm like Jonathan. I couldn't stay for the whole time last week, so I'm very much ready for this one.
All right. So, for those of you who are wondering, here's our topic. Should we have sex discussions at church? And I've got to say, if you missed last week's episode, you want to go back and watch it because it was so good. It was so good to the point that we had to have an episode 2 tonight because we're going to pick right back up where we left off because this is a topic that you probably won't hear in your local church, but we need to have the discussion, okay? So, guys, what was some of the things that you probably wanted to add in? Let's just do a little bit of jumping back in from last week's messages. You guys want to chime in on a little bit of that?
Well, if I could,
Yes.
and of course, I wasn't, able to stay for the whole time, but I think if if we could talk about the positive aspects of it and because when we have these type of discussions, it's always from a of don't touch, don't do, and all of that, so that
Bingo.
even when you are married and you hear or getting married and you've grown up in that environment where it's just not supposed to fornicate, you don't do that, blah, 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 you're going to hell and all of that, when you are in the confines of a healthy marriage and you got all of that bad teaching running through your head, guess what? Even though you know it's not wrong to do, sometimes there's some feelings that you have to fight based on the bad teachings that you've received.
Right.
Now, now that's facts right there, and you said a whole mouthful. But here's the thing: of the part that I really want that jumped out to me is when you said, "Let's talk about the positives of this, the positive aspects of sexual relations and sex in itself," because you normally don't hear any of the positive sides, like you said, when we're in church. You don't hear that part.
And
Yes,
listen, Jen, even in marriage classes. Come on, let's just be real. Even in marriage classes, you don't hear about the positive aspects of it.
that's true. That's true. And that is something, and I guess the part that we normally hear in church when it comes to, like you said, the marriage classes is wives submit to your husbands.
Yep, that's all we
Those
hear.
things. Those things. And then here's the other part of that. Here's the other part. The wives are saying, "Well, I got needs too." you know,
Hmm.
I got needs also. So I get exactly what you're saying, and you're on the money with that. Jonathan, let's have you go ahead and chime in.
Right. Yeah, there were 2 points that I actually wanted to bring up. I think they're one of the reasons why sex isn't a common subject in church is because the church is comprised of not only married people but also single people. So when you have something in the Bible that says you're not supposed to do it until you are married, maybe they don't want to like have those discussions because they have those people in the room who are not yet married, and therefore they feel as though those discussions might lead them to want to pursue those things. And so I really understand that. And it's like they don't trust their members to
Yeah,
make good
yeah,
decisions, and
yeah.
that I don't think that's a good way of looking at it. Give your
Mhm,
people the facts.
mhm,
Give them people,
mhm.
give them, like Avery said, all of the positive things that come along with it, so that when they do decide to make that step, that they can embrace it fully, and not feel shame from it. And another thing is, when you're told not to do something for so long, when you then do it, and then you're put in a room where you want to discuss it. Sex is a really personal subject, and so not everyone will be comfortable with discussing sex in a large
Mhm.
forum, or in a large amongst a large amount of people. So I do
Mhm.
understand, why people may not want to have that conversation, but at the same time, it is still an important conversation to have.
And it is, and I can understand, like you said, also that people don't always want to have the conversation because it is that private conversation.
Yeah,
But like Avery said, not only are we can have topics in church, but we can also have the marriage counseling and the marital classes where we can have the intimate setting and have the real conversations about
right.
sex. Jennifer and Tyrone are here. I'm gonna let Avery get his comment in, and then we're gonna say hello to Jennifer and Tyrone. Go ahead, Avery.
Well, Jonathan said something that was in his first point that struck my attention because
Yeah.
it seems like sometimes there's more of a policing.
Ooh.
You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? There's more of a policing of the topic, and and the bottom line is you can teach, you can train, you can instruct, but you cannot prevent people from doing what they want to do, even if they know it's not right. And so I think
Mm,
that's one of the biggest things too, is that we're afraid people are gonna fornicate.
you might as well go
We're
ahead and say
afraid
it.
people are gonna fornicate, so we don't talk about it. And because we don't talk about it, people fornicate.
Oh, oh, you don't say it that you don't put it out there. You don't put the word out there. That's the word that people don't want to hear, but that is the word that you oftentimes hear in church. Don't fornicate. And then they end up, like you said, because we ain't discussing it, they are fornicating. And then it becomes a secret that they fornicated. And it does not become prevalent that they fornicated until they get pregnant and show the
Mm.
signs of the fornication. I understand that wholeheartedly. Jennifer and Tyrone, how y'all doing?
We are great.
Yay,
Wonderful.
yay, yay.
I think I'd be greater if I was with you, Regina.
Listen, I'm doing my best. I said I need to get more. What is it? The word that the guy that does my podcast, he told me, not the guy, Dion told me. He says, Regina, you need to be more consecutive, more precise with your stuff, more consistent. That's the word. You need to be more consistent. So normally when I go on these trips and stuff, I'm like, well, I'm on a trip, I'm not going. But I am trying to do like my podcast producer has said I must do, be more consistent to get these videos out. So I am in this beautiful hotel and the best lighting was in the bathroom.
And it sounds
See,
like the best audio as well.
Really?
It sounds good.
The
I was just
acoustics is
going to
amazing.
I was just about to say, Regina, you really didn't have to tell people that you're in the bathroom. But again, on this show, we do keep it real, and so we might as well just live by the code.
Listen, it's a beautiful marble.
Oh yes,
Yes.
it is beautiful. I will
Yes.
say.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
like, wow.
We're not seeing tile. It certainly is marble. So we're great. I think it's awesome.
Yep.
We, like Jonathan said, we at the Juice Radio and Talk Show, we tell the truth, we keep it real.
Absolutely.
Right.
Jennifer and Tyrone, we are continuing the conversation, like you know, about sex in the church. And we were just briefing the audience on some of the topics that we spoke about. What are some of your scenarios and thoughts about what we communicated about last week?
Last week, I think the biggest thing I remember talking about was how, uh, just like Avery was saying, the fact that we don't talk about it, and the results of not talking about it is basically a whole lot of secret lives,
Mhm.
especially within the pulpit. To be a pastor, to be somebody higher in ranking, you have to portray a life of holiness. Now, we
Mhm.
do know that absolutely nobody, maybe somebody's grandma, because they, who knows, but shoot, even grandma sometimes drink wine. So look, um, we are not in a space to be perfect.
Right.
That's only Jesus.
Mhm.
So when we have these pastors, it comes out that they have been doing horrible things to children, um,
Mm.
doing horrible things against their wives by getting with other women or getting with other men. Either way is still adultery. And basically hiding a life, having one life here and behind closed doors being a total different person, because simply because, in my opinion, we have not normalized sex. We make sex to be such a sin, such a hindrance. Yes, horrible
Mhm.
things can come of it.
Yes.
Consequences that you weren't looking for can come of it. But
Mhm.
we keep on forgetting to at least say out loud our temptations. We can't even talk about our temptations.
That's let me tell you, you hit on something. You really hit on something when you just said that. We cannot talk about our temptations.
Mm-mm.
We can't have those
Mhm.
discussions because oftentimes when you go to church, you go to your pastor, you tell them, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. You are oftentimes told abstinence. That's a word
Yes,
that
just don't
most
do it.
people know. Just don't do it. But it's not always that easy, as we can all tell. It's not
Absolutely.
always that easy. So you hit on a great major point, and then you also hit on the point of, with pastors who are doing things maybe that they shouldn't be. Of course, they shouldn't be doing, having sexual relations with other people that's not their wife as well, doing these things behind closed doors, even having sexual relations with children. Hey, AT2's in the chat. Hey, AT2. How are you? He says, glad to catch a live. I'm so glad you're with us. And thank you for having us on your show. AT2 shares his platform with us, the Juice Radio and Talk Show. So y'all go over there and show AT2 some support on his channel and subscribe and like. Thank you, AT2, for being here. Keep those comments coming. So these pastors, what they do is they end up, like Jennifer said, you're having sex with not only women that are not your wives, you're having sex with children. And that's another thing. That's a topic that I wanted to bring up today, talking about sex in church and not having the conversations. Do you all think that if we were to have more real, truthful conversations about sex in church, not just sex in church, but have sex conversations in church, do you think that would prohibit these pastors from being able to manipulate people into having sex with them when they call it acts of God or doing things that are pleasing God? What's your thoughts on that?
I absolutely believe that, because when you're saying that you should not be doing something, and then you have a pastor who approaches you on the side, you think that he is probably the closest thing to God. At least many Christians do believe that about their leaders. And so if
Mhm.
he's going to say that, oh well, because I'm the pastor, we have this special, we have this special, what is the word I'm looking for? We have an opportunity to do something that not
Mm.
everybody else is allowed to do. And
Child.
so that is where the manipulation comes into play. Whereas, because I'm the pastor, I have permission to do such
Ooh.
things, and that's not something that we want to hear. But another thing that I wanted to say is, because
Yeah.
the church tends to demonize sex in
Yes.
so many ways. for the church to then turn around and then talk about it, then that would probably seem a little counterproductive. But at the same time, we have to move forward. We have to progress. We have to get better. We can't think about what we were doing back in the past, because obviously it's not working. So, we have to move forward.
We do. I love that. And what are some of your other comments regarding should we be having more conversations about sex in church to one, prohibit pastors from being able to manipulate people into having sexual relations with them, but also to have the educational conversation about sex? Talk to me. Who would like to go? Avery, John, you guys, not all at once. Not all at once.
I'm trying not to talk the whole time.
Go ahead, Avery.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh man, I'm gonna be a little more of a devil's advocate on this.
Yes.
Not to give honor to the devil, but talking about it, it's a possibility that it still could be issues of sexual immorality in the church.
Yes.
It could still happen because they're like, well, you know about it. I taught you about it. Let's try it.
But
see, I do agree with you. It is a chance that people will come out of it more wiser, more understanding of what happens to their body and their minds when they enter into intercourse with somebody else.
And this is the thing, that when you enter into that, and you enter into that with a pastor, when we have that conversation, or anybody that is married and things of that nature, when we have that conversation and saying, when you're having sex with someone and afterwards, how do you feel? What do you think about the fact that he has a wife? Are you considering what you can be breaking? If we can have those kind of conversations, and also help these men and women to understand you are always going to be number two.
Right.
And that's not God's life for anybody. You are meant to be number one in whatever relationship that you're in.
You're meant to be the only one.
Oh, okay. Now, because I try to be open for people that, want to have, more than one, or just do the polygamous thing. I believe as long as everybody is open and consenting polyamory.
I ain't sharing.
Oh no, I'm stingy.
It's not me. I'm gonna be stingy. I'm gonna be stingy on this.
I'm real stingy. But if
I understand what you're saying,
then that's cool. But at the very end of the day, most of these people are looking to be had, to be that one, and thinking about it as a way of you're just downing everybody else. You're messing up other people's lives. You're messing up these children's lives. You're messing up just church, helping to do so by entering into a relationship with somebody that's already married. How are we supposed to say that your relationship is blessed ever, even if he does end up divorcing and then and getting with you? How are we supposed to say that?
And let's talk about Avery. Go ahead, Avery. You're up next. Go ahead, Avery.
I think the whole thing is the lack of balance in it. And I definitely agree with what Jennifer said. If we're going to talk about it, if we're going to tell the people about the hellish part of it, let's tell them about the heavenly part of it. Yeah. Let's tell them about the bliss. Let's tell them about the skyrockets and all that fireworks.
The fireworks, yeah.
But also let them know, hey, there's a possibility if you give it the wrong one, you may get something that you're gonna regret. So I think that if we're gonna, let's just balance it all, and there's sometimes there's just no balance in the conversation.
Just like there's bad things with everything.
And I wanted to speak to Tyrone's point that he made just a second ago. As far as with any situation, you want to go into it informed. And so if we're not going to have the conversation, then that means those people are going into these situations uninformed, which brings along ignorance. And so it's, is there a chance that they will take that chance? You know, we're talking about it, so why don't I do it? Of course, there will be people who will do it. We are humans. That's how we operate. However, it's better to go into a situation with as much information as you can possibly know, as opposed to not having any information or little information. So
I
Right.
get that.
And to Jonathan's point, though, the problem becomes who is giving the information, especially in the church. You know, we're dealing with the church part.
Even
Because
more.
for the most part, the people that are giving the information don't have the information, the proper information to give.
exactly.
So that's
Come
why
on,
we're
let's
having
now
all of these. People want to talk about it. People want to discuss it, but the leader doesn't have enough information. Because I get it, you're God's representation, and I get it. You want to talk about the Holy Ghost, you want to go in tongues, you want to go about hermeneutics, homiletics, and all that stuff. That's good and fine, Pastor. Well, go talk to Sister Regina, who knows about it, and set her up to be the expert in your ministry about it, so that when people have questions, they can come to her. They don't have to come to you all the time, and it's good and fine. Just because you don't know, it doesn't degrade who you are as a leader. It actually helps you when you can pull Jonathan in, and you can pull Tyrone and Jennifer in, and Virginia. You have all of these people around that know about it, and all you're doing is saying, "Hey, I'm a resource." Boom, they know it. They can help you and all that. So this is where we need to get. If the humility part of
Yes.
I know I'm the leader, but I don't know. But I'm afraid to let you know I don't know. So I'm gonna give you misinformation or bad information about it. I'm sorry, y'all.
See,
I'm
that
sorry.
takes
No,
it
that
back.
was listen.
Yeah, that was-
listen,
that
if
was
I was,
good.
See,
if I wasn't in this hotel with bathroom,
yeah, we.
Oh wait,
I
but
ain't even got my tambourine in. I ain't bring my tambourine with me or nothing.
you
Oh,
have
Lord.
nothing. Goodness.
Avery, let me tell you, what you hit on was right. We need to have educated conversations. Like Jonathan said, people are misinformed. And when you're misinformed, you're going to miss the mark. So
Right.
we need to have people that want to get correct information. You got to have, thank you, Holy Spirit, you got to have correct people in place.
Right.
If you want to get correct information, you got to have correct people in place. The pastor cannot handle all situations. Now, if the pastor got a degree in sexual relations, conversations,
Right.
and you're right, Holy Spirit, you're right, Holy Spirit. And if his wife is happy,
If you're happy and you know it,
then go ahead and let pastor have that conversation.
Let him have
But
it.
if let me tell, if first lady ain't happy and pastor say he got a degree in sexual relations and first lady ain't happy, then pastor, you may not be the one on this one.
There's a problem.
Right.
Yeah,
I've heard
go
since
ahead.
I was
Go ahead, Jonathan.
little this saying, God will always have somebody to use their power, their ability, and their influence to help you. So if you are a leader and you have a church full of people, use the wisdom that God has given you, and use your resources so that we can, as I said before, move forward and elevate and not feel like we're missing something.
Right.
And that goes back to a conversation that we had forever ago about the pastor and how the pastor can get burnt out by not doing any delegation, by not letting other people take the reins on some things. So that is so awesome, Avery. I thank you for bringing that up. And another thing that I would like to bring up as another great thing about talking about sex is for those people that get married and abstain from sex all that time that you've been saying don't do it, and now we are married, we finally do it, and now I am not fulfilled because somebody don't know what they're doing. Either it's me, either it's them, but something going on. There's a problem.
Put a pause in it. Let me get Tyrone to come here, and I'm gonna swing it right back to you, Jennifer. I'm gonna swing
I gotta
it
swing back just a little second.
right back to you. Tyrone, go ahead and let us know.
Just a little second here to what Avery was saying.
Yes.
Avery, did you realize you're asking people to come out of the monarch of the church and bring it back into a community that it once was?
Woo.
This is what we're asking them to
That's what it
do.
was. The monarchy.
Yeah.
The church was the people, not just the head.
My God.
It was the
Right.
people.
Right.
And when we lost that connection amongst one another, this is why we are lost.
Right, because those leaders have that monarch mentality, and that
Right.
monarch mentality comes with pride. And,
Yeah.
you know, pride is the last thing you want in your church.
Bruh. Yes, sir.
That's the last
Yes,
thing you
sir.
want in your church.
My Lord.
Humility is who Jesus was. Humility. We need humility in our leaders.
Jesus was about the people.
The people.
That's why he was down with the people that all the clergymen was like, what are you doing over there with the criminals? What
With
are
the
you
tax
doing over there
collector.
with the prostitutes? What are you doing over there with those people with the diseases?
With the transgenders.
He was about the people.
Come on
When
now.
will the church get back to being about its people?
When we clean house like we doing right now.
My God.
Right, because I think
When we
not
clean
not
house.
only I think that, you know, when the leader has that monarch type of mentality, that means that's going to trickle down to everyone who is underneath him. So, you know, the person who's over the music in the music ministry is going to think, oh, I'm high and mighty, I'm the best, I'm this and I'm that, and so you're going to have the deacons that might be having the same feelings, like no one's going to take my spot because I've earned this and I've done this and that. And so, you know, when you have that type of leader, then your followers are going to follow your lead.
Hey, Angela's in the chat with Pastor Scott. Hey, Angela.
What's up, y'all?
Angela says also Tyrone. She said, preach, Tyrone. Now, Tyrone, you said a whole bunch. Avery, did you want to chime in? Or
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
back
ahead.
to Jennifer. All right, I'm swinging this back to Jennifer. Now, Jennifer,
Yes.
go back to like what you were saying. Go ahead and hit that topic again.
Yeah, just talking about the people that have listened, the people that did their best not to have hot sexual relations before marriage. And now we're in this marriage. We know nothing about hot sexual relations, so our sex ain't hot.
See. Can I be honest?
Yes, you
I
can.
know a couple, and that was and this sister was like followed the rules, did everything. You know what I'm saying? That the church lined out and all that, and waited till she was about 50-ish.
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 Wow.
I mean,
Oh, Lord have mercy.
got married, and it those fireworks that we talked about a little bit ago, it was just smoke.
Oh, Lord.
From a match.
And so because and my point is to Jennifer's point, now we've created another problem
Yes.
because they're not satisfied, and then they ended up getting a divorce.
Oh,
Okay, so then
because they have nobody to talk to.
so then here's this. So then the church stands up and starts pointing the finger,
Ooh.
as if it didn't have any kind
Of anything to
you
do
didn't
with it.
say nothing. You couldn't
Come
teach them
on.
about nothing.
You
So
couldn't
they
teach
didn't
it.
know. So how do you then say, oh, you should have? No, you should.
Not even in the marriage
Right.
counseling. Bring it up.
All right, let's pause real quick and say hello to Evangelist 39. How you doing? She's in the chat. She said, you better you better speak the truth. Yes, indeed. Keep those comments coming. Avery, let me tell you, you are right. And that's my other part that I wanted to bring up in today's topic of this divorce. The ratio when it comes to people who get married in the church, you done abstained or you done probably didn't abstain. You probably did have some, but then you got married, and now, like you said, it's not fire, it's not the fireworks, it's smoke. They just sending up smoke signals. When they were sending up smoke signals for help. I'm sure they was like, I need somebody to help me. Somebody come here and help me. Here's some smoke signals.
What am I doing wrong?
They
And
just
no
lit a
word
match.
over here, but I need some help. It's the smoke signals. But like you said, we don't have nobody we can talk to. And then when we go to the church, say, okay, I need to talk about this. And pastor they do the best they can. I'm gonna say that.
Yes.
I'm gonna do like Tyrone said. I am going to say they do the best they can. But like Avery said, we need to have on speed dial, if they're not already in the ministry, on speed dial, sex
Experts.
therapists.
Right.
Experts.
Or at the very least, somebody willing to talk to you about sex and give you options as to what you can do.
What I can do.
Because some people don't realize or don't want to think about that sex always gets better if you continue to communicate. If there's a conversation of what I like and what I don't like, all of that can be better. You can avoid divorce if you guys will open your minds and try. But sometimes, when you're that wrapped up into the church, you don't have enough room for your mind to be open.
Ooh, see, that's a whole nother conversation.
And that's a whole nother topic as to why
Get your wife, Tyrone. Get your wife.
Yo, she read my mind.
Because
I was about to go here, and I was going to say like this.
Go ahead, say it.
People of the church don't understand that when it comes to that interlocking of love, it's a language between each other. It's a song and dance.
Hey, about you. I'm sorry.
But
And if you're not communicating, look here. They ain't gonna know what you're saying. They can't see inside your mind and read your mind.
And some
You
people
got
think
to
that
open your mouth and talk.
and some people think that sex just happens as well.
It don't
It's
just
like
happen.
you got to work at
You
that.
gotta work at that. It's another job that you got to clock in. And if you're not gonna clock into it, guess what? You ain't getting paid from it.
You ain't getting no payment.
Ain't no payday coming from it today.
Tyrone, I beg to differ.
Insufficient
You
funds.
You get paid from it, Tyrone. It has this great pay and reward, and there are benefits.
Right.
You're doing it right.
Doing it right.
There are benefits. So there's some paid in there.
There is a payoff.
Yeah, that is the payday.
There is a payoff. But we need to be able to communicate. And
Right.
like we're saying, this whole discussion, should we have sex discussions at church? Yes, I think we should. Just like in life, we're learning how to live our life. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We are learning how to live our life, and we're learning it from the church. The one area that we're not learning how to live our life is sexually. And like Avery was saying, there are some divorces that take place because we haven't had the communication. We don't know who to communicate with. And some pastors would think if Sister Mary is having a problem with her husband, Brother Joe, and Brother Joe is like, well, let's go to somebody that knows something and talk to somebody licensed. And Sister Mary is like, oh no, I can't do that. What if somebody saw me coming out of her office? Because she's thinking in her mind that it's taboo.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That it should not be done. So she's not knowing what do we do. I think the conversations that should take place in church is if you're having a sexual problem or sexual questions, seek the help. Go out there, let us help you, connect you with somebody, because we don't want any more divorces, especially on something that we can have a topic and conversation about to fix.
Right. When we can avoid it.
Or to avoid it. We can fix the marriages if we have some of these open conversations. And then there's so many topics on here that we're talking about. But not only this, okay, let's go back to the sexual immorality. Okay, let's go to the sexual immorality. Now, this is true, where some pastors always say there's some sexual immorality, but we have to teach people what the sexual immoralities are.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes what churches do is they just simply put a whole blanket over it. Sex outside of marriage is a sexual immorality. That's basically what they do. They blanket the whole thing. But sexual immorality can happen when people are married. Mm-hmm. It can happen. So you have to just like somebody at the top of the topic was saying, we have to be able to have the conversations with people. Sexual immorality happens. Sexual happiness happens. They do happen. They do happen. Now, should people be out here having sex when they're not married? I'm going to give my personal opinion, and then I'll go to each one of you to give your opinion. We'll go to Jonathan, then Avery, and then we'll go up to the top to Jennifer and Tyrone. Should people be having sex when you're not married. And here's my personal take on this. I don't think people should be having sex if they're not married, and here's why. If you're not in a committed relationship, you have no knowledge of where that person was or who that person was with or who that person is going to be with tomorrow, and you out here having all of these sexual relations with these people, you have no clue as to what is going on. I think we need to start making sure that we're having a relationship
Right.
with somebody we want to be in a relationship with. And I think that going back to courting these women instead of, hey, babe, you want to hook up? I can't stand the hookups. I can't, me personally, this is me personally speaking. I would prefer, okay, let's get some loyalty, let's get some of that. Now, if you're in a committed relationship and you just haven't gotten married, here's my take on that. And you've had sex, listen, you done already committed. My thoughts are once you have the sexual relations, you already committed. So that's just my take. Jonathan, what's your take?
Wow. So yeah, that I'm sorry, that just that just surprised me for a little bit. But yes, me personally, I feel as though it is really truly up to the individual what it is that you stand by. And what it is that you're going to do. Me personally, yes, I have had sex before marriage because I'm obviously not married. And so
Mm,
yes, I did make that decision, but I would not suggest that to someone else, especially if they're not
there
in a
you go.
space where they love themselves, where they know who they are,
Mm,
and then go out and try to share themselves with someone else without the knowledge of who they are and who they really are at the core. So I
mhm.
really think that you have to come to a certain point of maturity before you step into the sexual realm. But again, it's
That is
all
true.
up to you. It's all up to the individual what it is that you feel is best for you.
I love that. I love it. And I love
Um,
the part where you said you've got to love yourself before you can love somebody else. That speaks volume. Volume. Avery, go ahead.
I would just what Jonathan said. I couldn't. I just almost give him a love offering on that because and while he was talking, I'm just having all of these flashbacks of my life
There
and
you go.
that maturing play. And let's
Mhm.
be it is fun.
Right.
It
Mhm.
is
Oh, yeah.
exciting. There are some sensations that will rock your world, but you will, if you're not careful, you'll wake up lost
Right.
and
Oh,
not knowing who you are because you've opened up some boxes that shouldn't have been tampered with. And
Hmm.
even though it's fun and even though it feels good, you're grabbing for something and you may grab it for a minute, but you slip and
mm,
you're always consistently trying to get a high that never satisfies because you tapped in too early.
My God.
ooh.
Right.
So yes, that's that maturing part, and I would say the same thing. I would, if I had to do it over, I would just wait because there's some things that you open up that you don't
Right.
even realize are open until years later.
Mm.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I
I
think that's why it can be dangerous for teenagers to have sex because they're doing such an adult thing at
right.
such a young age, and they don't realize the ramification. They don't realize everything that goes along with that. And again, we're not educating our people. So
Child, yeah. Oh, I think I'm next.
I think so too.
Jennifer and Tyrone, thoughts?
So I absolutely feel as if the Holy Spirit is flowing through this whole conversation. Uh, Avery, I really identify with you on that. I was thinking myself about my former hot sexual relations, and the thing is that when I was lost, like Jonathan was talking about, it didn't fulfill anything. It's like when
Mm,
that moment was done, I was like, "Okay, well, what's next?" You know?
Right.
Right.
That
Still
was
Right.
it.
felt empty. It was a fun moment, but it was just that, just a fun moment. Nothing
wow.
fulfilled me in those particular spaces. Now, I do also agree with what was I about to call you, Sherry? Anywho, Regina, I was about I agree with Regina about having a relationship.
Yeah.
Now, for me, when I have gone into sexual situations with people, the only I feel like there was just really I feel really felt comfortable with just two people, and he's one of them. So, but that would have to be. I'm sorry, let me stop rambling. But at very end of the day, I suggest just making sure that you are having relations with somebody that means something to you, and
Right.
also go into that sexual relation with a mind of or knowledge. You have to be knowledgeable of exactly what you're doing. If you're choosing to have sex without condoms, if you're choosing to have sex with somebody that's random, if you're choosing to do those things, let's not go into that situation without the knowledge of the fact that you will get pregnant. It's very much popular.
Mm.
Without going into it, you can catch a disease with if you don't protect yourself. Though I just can't stand the people that go into sexual relations without the knowledge, as if their body, you can't stop your body from having sex. Like, yes, you can. Do you want to? No, but you could.
Mhm.
And that's, one of my main things. Just be knowledgeable of what you're about to do or put yourself into, because having that knowledge may stop you from doing some things that you shouldn't be doing, or at least take the proper precautions before you step into that sexual relationship. But
I love that.
I've
I
had
love it. Great points. Great points. And getting the knowledge and knowing the pros and the cons when it comes to it is very important. Tyrone, go ahead. Let's get your take on this.
So much has been said, so much has been put in the atmosphere. Where do you go from there? Um, I would have to say now you have to take all of this knowledge and put it in a space where you can really govern yourself accordingly now.
I love that.
Understand what is your intentions when it comes to this person
Mm.
beyond just the sex.
mm-hmm.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the sex is still going to tie you to that person, even after they're gone. That
Mhm.
person has made a mark on your body
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
that will remain with you
And P.S. I'm
and in
sorry.
your mind.
Make that decision before you even get into a hot heated situation.
Right.
Keep
Make sure you make that promise to yourself so that you're ready when you get in that position. Because yes, I understand how it is when it gets hot and heated and hormones start arising and you want to do things, but you said to yourself previously that this is the way that I want to do it, and this is the person that I want to do it with. Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
Tyrone, we gonna get back to you, Tyrone. Evangelist 39 says the panel is dropping knowledge. Yes, Tyrone, go ahead. You said something, and I'm gonna chime in after, but go ahead. Let me have you finish, and then I'll chime
I
in.
am complete because we are giving you the knowledge and the tools that you need to go back, reevaluate yourself, reevaluate your decisions over your life, reevaluate where you're going now,
Yeah, what's
moving
good for
forward.
you?
You got to look at things on a larger scale because that one moment is going to pass in seconds. You can't get it back.
Absolutely.
It may come back around, but it's not going to be the same.
No, child.
It's never going to be the same.
Child.
It's never and here and something you said which I want to touch on real quick, and then we've got another comment from Amos. Amos is in the chat. Hey, Amos. Now Amos has a long chat, so it won't fit on the screen. So I'm going to put that
Okay.
here.
Oh,
But
he
for a moment, Tyrone, you said once you have sex with that person, you have now made a mark on your body. Ooh,
Yeah, what we don't understand about when we have sex with people, their energy transfers to us and our energy transfers to them.
Now that's the deep, deep. Now listen, let me tell you, that's the
Right.
deep, deep. People don't know about that part.
Right.
You know, that's kind of what I was hitting at when I said once you have sex with them, you already connected already.
Right.
When you said the deep, deep, I'm gonna stop cutting you off, Tyrone. Go ahead, speak it.
To dive in that even more, you got to understand that person's personalities, their emotions start to attach themselves to you as y'all grow together or apart. It will remain with you regardless. And when you go on to the next person,
Okay.
that stuff adds on to it. It builds a part of a character within you, sexually, character that is not just the regular character that your regular normal day to day presents to the world.
It imprinted on your sexual life.
Right. And I
That
think that's
is,
the
go
And
ahead.
I think that's the main reason why maturity is so important when it comes to this, because when you're 16, 15, you're not thinking about that. You're just thinking about jumping into bed with this hot guy or
Right.
hot girl,
Right.
and doing the nasty. But
Right.
you don't think about the emotional part of it. You don't think about what happens after the fireworks. You don't think about that person. What are they feeling? You don't think about that. And again, that's why it's best that you are mature when you make that decision, because you're thinking with a clear mind.
And then too with that, Jonathan, not to even factor in the people who had trauma
Mm-hmm.
Right,
and unsettled issues going into it,
right,
who already had a warped view of what sex is.
My God.
And then you wake up married,
Ha!
trying to figure out why she not like her or why he not like him.
right.
He did it like that. I need you to do like that. And you calling names that you're not supposed to be calling out.
Ugh.
Because you don't understand that stuff is in your spirit. And until
Damn.
you detox and get that stuff out, you're gonna be wrestling with it.
Mhm.
Y'all done started a conversation for episode 3
Jesus.
coming next week.
King
That's
Jesus.
the whole episode 3 coming.
That's
Sex,
so
I
true.
wrote down the title: Sex Transfers.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
sir.
And that detox you just spoke about, Avery, come on now. Come on. Now y'all weren't supposed to do this. We was on the shallow end. We was on the shallow.
You know,
We still had sand near us.
you know better than
And
that.
y'all just launched off way into the deep. I didn't even remember when the water hit my knees. Y'all just launched me all the way to the
Look, you know better than that. Over here at the Juice Guitar
Y'all
Radio Show, we go deep.
Let me get this comment here. Amos says in the comments, he says, greeting to all in the house. Sex education should be made inclusive in church teachings everywhere and in all Christian denominations. Church leaders who are not and may not necessarily be inclined with sex education should exempt themselves from handling this very office. Experts should be hired to foresee this teaching in churches. They mustn't be taught by church leaders who may have little to no knowledge about what sex education is all about. I think the best is to have a course on marriage where intending couples should pass through and be taught many things they do not know about sex and marital union. You better come on with the whole teaching, Amos. Yes, Tyrone gave you the applause. Yes. Evangelist 39 says, I think I can bring hers up on the comment here. Evangelist 39 says, I really wish I had someone to talk to about these things when I was coming up and even before marriage. Unfortunately, after all this time, it's still a taboo subject in the church.
My God.
Yes, it is.
And
then
the funniest thing of
hold on, I'm sorry. And I'll get you. Amos says, talking about sex before marriage, it is fornication and should be avoided. Meanwhile, it is advisable for courting partners to talk about their sexual life while still under courtship and figure out what works for both before walking down the aisle in marital union. God bless you all for this topic. Thank you, Amos. Thank you, Evangelist 39. Y'all keep these comments coming. We've got a few more minutes left. Jonathan, go ahead.
I just wanted to say something really quickly. Like, the funniest thing about this whole conversation to me is that, we're all grown people, and yet we don't want to have this grown up conversation. It's really perplexing to me how we are all mature. We are mature people. We are all over the age
Right.
of 30, at least in this chat. And
Mhm.
so, and yet we feel uncomfortable with having this very, very important conversation. And I think that goes into the fear that has been put out to people
Right.
concerning
Right.
sex. It's the
It-
fear that's holding us back.
Right.
Wow.
That's
Jonathan,
good.
you
That was
are
good.
so smart.
and you know,
You are so smart.
mm,
You get a clap award.
Since we
A
don't
nice
have the
golf clap.
tambourine,
But let me
no
tell you
tambourine.
something, Jonathan. You dropped some true knowledge. We are all grown, but we all still have an issue with having, like you said, this real conversation. And we all on this panel have had sexual relations. We've all seen the fireworks. I ain't sending up no smoke signals yet. I don't know about y'all, but we've all got fires still going, and stuff. We've all had that. We're praying for Jonathan's spouse to come in Jesus' name.
Absolutely. Amen. In Jesus'
yes,
name.
Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, but we, like Jonathan said, we're still afraid and timid to have this conversation. So this is what the Juice Radio and Talk Show is about. We're about bringing these conversations to a platform so that people can get informed. And we're going to start having more people on the panel, specialists. I'm already in the process of reaching out to some people because we want to have experts on the panel as well to give their expert advice. But what we're doing right now in the meanwhile is we're opening up the chats and having the conversations.
Absolutely.
And we're going to get more of this. Jonathan, much wisdom with what you said. I love it. Avery, you had a comment?
No, I was just blown away with what he said myself. I mean, it was
Isn't he
right
amazing?
on point. Right on point.
Amazing.
Right on point.
Amazing. Right on point, like you said. Go ahead, Jennifer.
When when Jonathan was talking, that had me to think about even the lowest common not lowest common denominator, but the beginning of that sex conversation. We can't even talk about attraction. What we are attracted to, what really makes us want to get into that space of wanting to have sexual relations. We can't even talk about the fact that we are attracted to stuff. We have to sit in the church and look forward. Now the now the other, like the mothers, that would have us to wear the cloths over us so that we won't be enticing the pastor. That's
Right.
okay. Why aren't we asking why is he enticed in the first place when he married? What's he
Ah,
missing?
yeah.
It's just stuff. It's stuff like that. Why are we doing our best not to tempt the men when the men should be able to, first of all, be open about what they're attracted to, and
Woo.
and
Woo.
then
Episode 4.
and then at the very same time be able to deal with themselves, because prayerfully there'll be some other men, some elders that will be able to say, yeah, she looked good, but you don't have to talk to her. You don't have to make different, gestures to her. You don't have to dismiss her or make her feel less than because she looked good. There is,
Mm.
those are the kind of conversations just right outside of the sex. Let's just talk about what moves us to chorus.
Right.
Woo.
And another thing that I wanted to add really quickly here is that I believe one of the main reasons why we don't feel comfortable with having this conversation in church is because many of us don't see church as a safe space. And
Oh,
if we can
Right.
get
Right.
back to the church being a safe space for us to have these conversations,
come on.
then maybe we can get somewhere, for the LGBTQ plus community, for those who, for others who might have other thoughts concerning the
Yeah.
Bible. They feel like they can't go to church because they're going to be beaten down, and we can't have that. And so we need to get back to church being a safe space. When I was growing up, church was really my safe space, and
Right.
because of the family and feeling that I got from it. But as I
Yes.
grew older, I experienced different things. But we have to get back to the church being our safe space, our little cocoon where we can
You
where
better
we
come
can
on.
go for refuge.
Now, Jennifer Evangelist 39 said in the chat, she said, come on, Jennifer, with applause. She right about that. Jennifer and Jonathan, y'all hit on some great stuff. Like Jonathan said, we need to be able to have the church to be our safe place.
It's blood.
Our safe place to have the conversation. Jennifer, you touched on something. You said the attraction. We need to be able to tell people who we attracted to.
But is it not normal though? I mean, let's just in honesty.
And that human nature.
And I know we're married and all of that, but I have seen some bad women.
Come on.
Okay.
And my wife just looking at the side of me. Go on look. But is it not normal for something that is attractive to attract me?
Right.
Well, you like Holy Spirit. You look at portraits. You look at portraits all day. You can go to a museum and look at portraits on the wall and say, "That's a nice portrait. That's a nice car. That's a nice, this and that." We can look at other things and say it's nice, but when we look at another person and say they're nice, you have to be able to determine what's lusting and what's just giving honor to say she's a nice looking woman.
Right?
Am I lusting? Because the church will quickly throw you into your lusting eyes.
Yeah.
Or are you just recognizing? That's the word. Thank you.
And see, now you're going where I was wanted to go. Thank you.
Right.
Like as you say, thank you, Holy Spirit.
Just recognizing it.
The acknowledgement.
That's all I wanted to go to is the recognition. When I recognize it, I can at that point make a decision to put it under subjection.
Right. What you gonna do with it?
One to another. It's not necessarily that it's sin, but it's just something that I'm recognizing. So if I don't have a safe space, as Jonathan said, I'm coming in here and I'm like, oh man, I'm feeling bad because I saw somebody that
I look
my wife, and Jennifer is like, I saw this big dude and his chest is big. And you know what I'm saying? So everybody's sitting there with all these little thoughts like, oh God. And just somebody just needs to say, hey, you know what? It's a human, it's natural to have a desire that goes against what you normally are supposed to want. And at that point, you just bring it to a place where you have subjection over it. That's all its temptation is. Let a man say when he is loved, then he is tempted. Every man is drawn of his what? His own lust. So it's something in me that I recognize it's in me, but I don't want it to take control of me. So I need safe spaces and people that I feel comfortable enough that I can say, hey, this is what I'm going through. And I know Regina ain't gonna dog me out. And I know Jonathan's not gonna judge me. I know Tyrone and Jennifer's not gonna push me aside. They just going to go with love because they're experiencing the same thing too.
Right,
and
because they're just going to say,
here.
me too, me too, brother,
There you go.
me too, sister.
Yes, right here.
There you go. Evangelist 39 says it's fine, but the problem comes when you go beyond a glance. Now let's talk about that. We listen, we're in overtime again. We're in overtime. We're in overtime. And she says also in the chat, that's right, operate in that spirit of temperance. Okay, so she came with that. And let me see. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
This is something that myself and Tyrone have open conversation about all of the time. And I pray and I hope that there are other marriages that make sure to take these things into account. But when I got married, the Lord did not make me deaf nor blind. I can still see good-looking people. Yeah, I can still see them. And I can still recognize that they look good. Shoot, I can recognize when females look good. Or if Tyrone says, look at her. And we both see, oh, wow, there's a lot going on back there. But it's like, here, the reason why I say that we should talk about it is because if there's been times that I've made sure to talk about the person that I'm working with that I find attractive. I tell him, oh, Tyrone, there's this dude. And you know what? If I wasn't so married, I think I'd have sex with him. And instead of Tyrone saying, let's go to your job place and I can put hands on him.
Right.
Before doing that, What we recognize is that I am speaking out loud instead of letting it rumble in my mind what I thought was attractive. So
Right.
when you speak it out loud, we no longer make it taboo. We no
Right.
longer we bring life to it. Go ahead.
You know what you do?
What do we do?
You now get dominion over it.
So I
Now
want
you are in control of it.
that's it.
Right.
And now you're not afraid of it any longer.
Absolutely.
And now you can put it underneath you
There it
and
goes.
behind you.
There it go.
Because now it doesn't have a control over you. You have control over it.
And being
That
able
goes
to
right into the comments that Amos said in the comments. That is where self-control comes in. And again, knowing the boundaries. Listen, y'all done went into old next week. Listen, we are going to do a part 3. We're going to do a part 3. Part 3, we are bringing it on. I want to say this real quick when we're talking about looking at other people and acknowledging their beauty. It is not lusting until you start thinking of it in a sexual manner.
there you go.
Right.
When you start looking at them and thinking of what you can be doing with them that would pleasure you,
Ooh-wee.
then you are into the realm of lusting. When you are looking at someone and acknowledging they are a beautiful person, then you understand you just acknowledging they are a beautiful person.
Exactly.
But when you take it to the other side, and you could easily do that, but like Jennifer and Tyrone were saying, you have to know where the boundaries are. You have to be able to reel that thing in and control that thing.
Exactly.
And have the conversation with your spouse. And listen, there's so much topics for next week.
So many.
Like Jennifer said, we need to talk to our husband. If I see a pretty woman, I tell my husband, he's looking and he try not to look and he going like this. You know, like I'm like, babe, go ahead and look. I said, oh my gosh, she's pretty. And he's like, she's all right. I'm like, boy, please.
Okay.
Boy, please. You can do come around and I'll be like,
Wait.
woo. That's a handsome looking dude. When you do that in church, people look at you like, why are you doing that? You're lusting because a new church member done came in and he looking real nice or she looking real nice. And people are like, oh no, you're not supposed to be looking. But guess what? When the new pastor come to town and he walking up on the pulpit, and everybody, did y'all see the new pastor? Ooh. How come it ain't taboo when y'all see the new pastor?
Oh,
my God.
It ain't, but it's taboo when the nice young man or the nice young lady coming down the aisle. But y'all, well, we gonna listen. We into overtime, and we into next week episode.
But I feel like we're just a little bit too hard on ourselves sometimes. We automatically throw ourselves into sin for the simple human nature that is within us.
right.
Us being human, that's not an excuse. It's simply the truth. We are human. And things happen when we see someone that is attractive to ourselves. So, you know, I hope that we can be just a little bit easier on ourselves, and rather than shame ourselves by saying, oh, you're lusting now, you are sinning. Instead of saying that, it's just acknowledge what's going on in your brain. This person looks good to me, whether you're single, married, have a boyfriend, whatever. This person looked good to me.
That's right.
That person may not be for me or may be for me. Oh, well, life moves on. And when you start acknowledging those things, sometimes it just becomes a little less difficult to try to need to be with somebody. Let's just acknowledge something sometimes.
Right.
But we need to have the conversation. Evangelist 39 says it doesn't bother you when you know who are and what you have.
Yes.
And what you have. Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I know my baby may not have the this or that or what somebody else, but he mine. And I know all the ins and outs. And y'all keep watching the channel because we're going to teach y'all some. Y'all may be looking at one and then you ain't get to know. Like Jonathan said, you need to be able to love yourself before you can love somebody else. And there are other people that are walking around with that same hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
They ain't learned to love themselves, but they look good.
Right.
Mhm.
They look good. They look real good.
Oh yeah,
Let me get off this topic.
They
because
did on the
Okay.
inside.
because we need to talk some more about this in the future because this
We also need to talk about the levels,
the different levels
the
of what
different levels
of what
of where your beginning level is, all the way up to the extreme where
Of
things
hotness?
becomes a fantasy.
Oh, okay.
I hear episode 4. Episode 4.
That's
We
why I
didn't
said
get 3
we
yet, but
got
I
an
hear
episode
episode
4.
4.
We got episode 4.
Hey, Avery, what was that little little twitch of the mouth? I saw it, Avery. What was
Hey,
it?
well, when he said that, my mind just when he said that, I just heard "guy." It's just my fantasy.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. See,
That's it.
There we go.
That's it.
There we go.
We got to talk about it.
We got to talk
And if
about
the
it.
trash ain't, I have no problem.
I'm
Evangelist
ready.
39 says you start looking for someone to fill a void that only God can fill.
Hello.
Amen.
Well, oftentimes we be looking in the wrong pond just because the pond look good, but you ain't got beneath the surface.
You
Right.
got that right. Because some people that know that they look good just ain't no good for
Ain't
nobody.
no good whatsoever. And they know
It's
it.
a rotten
And
soul.
they know it.
They
A
know
rotten
it.
soul.
Tyrone said a rotten soul. Come back next week. All of you who are on this live today, come back next week. We
And
have
make sure
got
to share
so
with a
much.
friend.
Share this video, click like, click subscribe, click share, because people need to hear this information. This panel is amazing. They're all full of knowledge. They're all bishops on here. They're all They got some great information. I want to thank every one of you for being so loyal and dedicated. I appreciate you all. Avery, thank you so much for being here. We need to see you again next week and the week after because we already have episodes 3 and 4 that we need to do. And my husband said, y'all ain't going to do this show without Avery. That's what he said.
Okay.
That's what he said. Now, he not here, but he said, make sure Avery here.
Two Clovis, I said, hey, I'm sure he's in the bed or something.
I know.
Right. Clovis, come back upstairs.
He around the corner.
I know where you're at right now. Come back upstairs, sir.
Huh, I saw you.
Exactly.
See ya.
Right.
We want to thank you all for watching the Juice Radio and Talk Show. This has been a program that we love doing. The topics that we have on, this is going to continue next week. Our topic, should we have sex discussions at church? Listen, continue with us next week on this. We love this. I want to thank our sponsor, Truth and Triumph Ministries. Truth and Triumph Ministries is a great ministry. They care about the truth and they help us to sponsor this program. Thank you so much, Truth and Triumph Ministries, for everything that you do. I want to also tell you guys about our panels, other pages that they have. We have up here, Avery is the author of this great book, The Preacher and His Porn. Avery, give us a little snippet.
Well, it is a journey that I endured from molestation to the manifestation of the power of God. My struggle became my savior. That's it in a nutshell.
You better come on with another book that says that same title too, Avery.
There you go.
There it is. Part 2.
Part 2. And then we have Jennifer and Tyrone. They've got a great program. Tell us about Faithful Warrior Ministries.
Yes, Faithful Warrior Ministries. We meet every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. All you have to do is type in Faithful Warrior Ministries and you will find me. I'm the first face that pops up, but we do have a great devotional that we use and we pray. We promote a prayer life, and also we make sure to let you know that you are not alone in this life and walk, and we will pray with you and for you.
I love that. And then we've got our fantastic William Jonathan. This date is wrong on here, but the time is right. Tell us about your program, Jonathan.
Yes, absolutely. My program is JoJo Speaks. So if you go on YouTube, type in JoJo Speaks, and my channel will pop up. Make sure you subscribe. I post every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. So later tonight in about 45 minutes. We'll be having hot topics and social commentary, myself, Jennifer, and Tyrone. And we also have another co-host, Mike, who joins us on Thursdays as well. But make sure you subscribe to my channel. Again, we do hot topics and social commentary. There's also a 10-part series in where I give you a little bit of an insight into the struggle that I had coming up being gay and also being a believer. So if you'd like to get to know me a little bit better, again, JoJo Speaks on YouTube. Please subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
And we also have a great. Let me get this off of my screen real quick. Off. Great music by guess who? Tyrone has this wonderful song that's out. It's called Groove With Me. Tell us about it, Tyrone.
Groove With Me is the classic roots Washington, D.C. down home go-go song like Chuck Brown mixed with the smooth jazz sax of yours truly here. If you go listen to it on your favorite streaming platform, that is Spotify, that is Amazon, that is YouTube, that is Apple Music, iTunes, Google, everywhere. You can find it. Just look me up, Groove With Me, TD McCullough.
That's my dance. We also want to remind you that we still have books available. We Made a Vow is my grandmother Christine Lewis's book. She wants everyone to have a happy marriage. You can get your free copy by inboxing us your information. We'll send it to you totally free. We even cover the shipping and handling. We want you to join us again next week for another fantastic show. Panel, any closing words?
Great topic, great conversation. Can't wait till next week.
Absolutely.
Yes. Don't get me start talking.
Next week. We love y'all.
Thank y'all so much. And we're going to say bye on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Bye.